In 2013, coming off of some great films like House of the Devil and the Innkeepers, Ty West, who was not at that time famous at all, as he is now for X, Pearl, and Maxine, gave us a found footage film that is one of the most disturbing found footage films since Cannibal Holocaust. And that is 2013's The Sacrament. And I really want to highlight this particular edition from Second Sight Films and talk about the wonderful film that Ty West created. So let's talk about the film first, and then we'll talk about the new Second Sight edition. So, The Sacrament is like I said, a found footage film that follows a small crew from Vice, yes, the TV show Vice, who are doing a documentary about one of their friend's sisters who he hasn't seen in years, who is wrapped up in this cult. Well, they don't necessarily know it's a cult yet, but it is like a gathering of people that have moved out into the jungle. I know the story's going to sound familiar. Moved out into the jungle and have started kind of like their own commune. And it's all kind of centered around this one really charismatic religious leader named the Father, who is played amazingly well by an actor by the name of Gene Jones. And Gene Jones is probably best well known now for playing the gas station attendant in No Country for Old Men. Um, that clip has gone viral and on like Instagram and TikTok and a million different places for that particular scene. But that's Gene Jones. He plays the father figure. So it's a story of these filmmakers documenting what happens when they go to this commune and kind of it's called Eden Parish and talk to all of these followers about what it's like to live there. And of course, things start to take a really sinister turn when one of the followers who has a little girl comes to them and is like, we need help. Things are not really what they seem here. People are getting hurt and punished, and a lot of people don't want to be here. And that's when the filmmakers find out that things aren't necessarily what they seem. Now, this film clearly, and I don't think anybody is trying to hide this fact. Anybody who made the film is trying to hide this fact anyway. This film is clearly based on Jonestown and Jim Jones. And it the the thing about this film too is it's strikingly realistic and it stays on the narrative of Jonestown pretty accurately. It takes some liberties, of course, because like we don't know exactly what happened inside the commune before all of that stuff was documented and filmed, and the congressman went over there and all that happened. But for those people that don't remember Jonestown, and that could be quite a few people on here, Jonestown was a religious haven that was in Guyana, built by this guy by the name of Jim Jones, and he was considered like the second coming, really, if you will, like a messenger of God. And at the same time as he was preaching all of these things about, he wanted racial equality and he wanted justice and social equity and all these things. He was also taking a tremendous amount of narcotics, including like uppers and downers, and it was making him incredibly paranoid and more paranoid to the point to where when a congressman finally went over to check on this congregation because he had heard that some weird things were going on there. Um, by the time he got there and actually did the interview with the followers and Jim Jones, it's pretty much exactly like it plays out in this movie. Um, the Jim Jones distrust of the media and distrust of outsiders is paralleled in this movie. What happened when people actually asked for help to get away from Jonestown is paralleled very, very closely in this movie. And just overall, the outcome is paralleled in this movie. Now, my only issue with this movie is that they didn't have the budget to show, or maybe they didn't have the desire to show the grandness of, like, that tragedy, because in this film, there may be, you know, maybe 50 to 100 extras that are playing the followers in the film. I think in Jonestown, there was, like, hundreds upon hundreds of people who lost their lives, so much so that, like, it looked like, the area was just littered to the point where all you could see was white because most of the people were wearing white. It looked like that the ground was covered in a white sheet and it was just bodies laid out. So this movie, is accurate to a point, does a little bit of, creative licensing, but also it's just scary as hell for the fact that that some of this stuff happened and you get to kind of be dropped in the middle of it through this kind of POV filmmaking, and it just makes it all the more kind of sad and depressing. And I caught myself several times in the film being like, this person should just stop and help them, or and what's going to happen, but you're still trying, like, make talk sense into these characters that at that point in time were so brainwashed that there was nothing left. And the violence in the film is incredibly realistic. And I think Ty West had said he wanted it to be incredibly realistic to show exactly kind of what happened. There's some scenes that, I mean, they're tough, but I feel like if you like, it's a great found footage film, and it's a great film about, like, what actually happens in a cult, like how it's able to operate, especially what the leaders are usually like and how they kind of think. And there's a great scene, probably the best scene in the film, where when they do the interview with the father, and they're just asking basic questions, and kind of his responses to those questions give you a really good idea of, like, the mentality of a cult leader. Um, it's a great film, and it's a great warning, as was Jonestown, about taking things too far, believing in false prophets, so to speak, and just the dangers of isolation as well. So, this is the second side edition of the Sacrament. This is a Blu-ray, first and foremost. On this, I'm going to open it up and show you. So you've got a couple of different things here that come with this edition, um, that I think make it stand out quite a bit more. So, of course, you've got uh, the Blu-ray disc. On this, special features include Indie Guys at Heart, a new interview with actor AJ Bowen, The Best Pathway, a new interview with actor Joe Swanberg, An Ecstatic State, an interview with actor Amy Samitz, The Itch to Act, which is an interview with actor Gene Jones, which I actually watched this, and I actually watched the interview with Amy Samitz. And because I just wanted to kind of know what that guy's process was, because he's amazing in the film. They're both amazing, actually, in the film. A Wild Ride, a new interview with producer Peter Falk, and Truthiness, Alexandra Hillard Nicholas on the Sacrament. There's also a making of documentary that goes behind the scenes. It's pretty extensive, that just kind of, like, footage that they shot while they were making the film, about, like, the setups of the scenes and things like that. That's great to kind of get, like, a behind the scenes look at, like, how they film all that too. Um, and so that is the Blu-ray. Uh, Special there. And then, these are really cool, and I always love these. These are the lobby cards that come with the set. So that is the father that just showed up there. And I love these kind of things. So a lot of companies are doing this now. Some of them are doing um, card stock, some of them are doing glossy stock. That's Amy Smith's. And it's just really cool kind of lobby cards of the film. So, again, an amazing kind of edition here. A.J. Bowen, who is an actor in the film, I believe is from Kentucky too, which is kind of the Dead Pit connection to that. You've also got, and these are always really, really cool too, and they include these in these special editions, limited editions as well. A 70-page book with new essays, 4 new essays, by the way, on different aspects of the film and the director. So I actually read through some of this because these are always some of my favorite things. And that includes Converting the Cult, how Ty West reformed a real-life tragedy into fiction by Cat Hughes, Reality Bites, Found Footage Immersionism and the Outer Limits, Sex Cells, The Sacrificial Spaces of Ty West, and Finding Ty West by Beth Kelly as well. Great little booklet that comes with it as well. Second Sight Films have been killing these releases for a long, long time now. I own pretty much everything that they've got. They did amazing work with Inside. They've got You're Next coming out, which is one of my favorite kind of, I don't know if that's an independent film, but lower budget kind of horror films. That's coming out soon. This is another one to add to that list. I mean, Second Sight to me is the premier company when it comes to collectors and when it comes to putting out like quality products. And this is no different here. It's a great film. It's a smaller film. It launched Ty West, I think, from like being a independent kind of low budget filmmaker with the help of Eli Roth producing this movie into what he is now, which where he's making theatrical films. One's just getting ready to come out with Maxine. And if you're into his work and if you're into found footage, you're going to love this film. I think it's a great film overall in general, The Sacrament. Check it out and check us out over at deadpit.com, Into the Dead Pit, on YouTube, on Instagram. Any place that you go on social media, we'll be there. I'm Uncle Bill, and thank you for watching.
Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a fuck.
I want you to. I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell.
There's all kinds of wonderful shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Simply the best horror shirts. On TeePublic, there are others, but they all suck. You can get some Dead Pit Radio shirts. You can get Last South on the left. The Hills Have Eyes. Texas Chainsaw. Oh, wait, you can't say Texas Chainsaw. All kinds of shirts, folks. You're gonna love them. Shop.deadpit.com.
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. Dead Pit on Patreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows, fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.